Good morning. It's been a while. Looking at my previous video, it should be day 101 today. And to be honest, I had hoped, wished, and anticipated that I would be in a very, very different state at this point in time. I had envisioned that on day 100 I would share a few things that mean a lot to me, and I would share them in a state where I actually not only say I want to share gratitude and joy, but I actually live it and emanate it. I decided to make this video nonetheless, because somehow it feels that it's just awkward to keep a few things inside for any longer. All right, so without this turning into some cryptic kind of message, I'm gonna give myself permission today for this to be as coherent or incoherent as it's gonna turn out. It might come across as messed up or courageous, or maybe vulnerable at best. I don't know. Whatever the outcome is, you're free to watch and you're free to switch off if it gets annoying. It might just be an incoherent ramble. Let's see how it goes. I'm just gonna try to share a few things, and also in that way to get them off my chest, because what I've seen in the last few weeks, it's been a weird dance of holding something back, not because in order to keep a secret, but because I wasn't actually daring to share it. In the sense of I didn't want to jinx it. And that brings me to my first topic. I released a video about a month ago saying that if you share things too early, you actually end up creating pressure for yourself. And that experience was one evening I felt that I was going to crash. The body would empty itself out. So I thought there's no point in taking my evening dose of cannabis to pacify the body a bit, to enable it to regenerate a bit during the night. So I just didn't take it. And then for some reason, miraculously, I managed to fall asleep. 4 or 5 hours later, I woke up and thought to myself, oh my God, I fell asleep. So with that experience, I thought, you know what? Maybe finally the moment has come. All right. And then over the coming 8 days, I went down to 50%, 40, 30, 20, 10, 0. Okay. Now, this sounds like, what's the big deal? And don't get me wrong, look, I am tremendously grateful towards this little plant, because I feel that it saved my life. To give you a bit of background again, I'd ended up, after almost 2 years of total craziness in my body, of being wired and tired 24/7, having heart pounding where I felt my heart is jumping out of my chest, an intensity where you feel like the body's going to fall apart. This is like a runaway train that has jumped off the rails and is going full steam towards nowhere. There is nothing that can stop it, and this is just going to kill me. Now, in that kind of state, you end up in a depletion, in an exhaustion that is so beyond words, and that fries your your nerves, your entire nervous system to a point where you feel you're either physically going to collapse or you're going to go crazy. And when you've arrived at that place, you're willing to do anything just to make it stop. Or if not stop, then at least to have a little bit of a relief. And I'm sharing this here once again because my heart goes out to all people who end up in similar states. Because at that point you become so utterly vulnerable. And it does not matter who you were before, how strong you were physically and mentally. There is that point where there's only one thought left in your mind, and that is, God, make it stop. And at that point, if you end up at the doctor's and he offers you pills, even a person like me who hadn't taken anything for 18 years, not even alcohol, no nicotine, no pharmaceutical drugs whatsoever. I wouldn't even take paracetamol. Like, I don't think there are many people who had that kind of a clean lifestyle. Yeah. So for me, that step, that was tremendous. But yeah, in my desperation, I made that step. And for 1 month, he put me on a cocktail of a tranquilizer, a sleeping pill, and an antidepressant. And I thought, okay, let's give it a try. Yeah. If he's really correct about this, if I truly am depressed, as he said, even though I feel like I'm sitting on a well, what I associated with depression was not at all what I was seeing in my body. Yeah. So the experience of that 4 weeks it didn't help me at all. Zero. But what I then found out was if I took the 2 tranquilizers in one go, and I did that not during the day but at night, I could actually sleep a little bit. Yeah. Well, that, yeah, that was the beginning of an almost 2-year-long med journey, by the end of which I'd gone through the medical system, both in India as well as in Germany, and at the end concluded that they can't help me. They cannot only not help me, they have further destabilized my nervous system. They've caused so many horrible side effects. And at the end of 2019, the day before I flew back to India, in a state where I thought I don't even know whether I'm gonna reach, I tried a space cookie that somebody offered me, thinking like, you know what? I mean, what can possibly go wrong now? I mean, I have nothing to lose, kind of. Yeah. So I found that, wow, there's something here. The night was different. And with that experience, I started experimenting, yeah, back in India. Long story short, from 2020 till now, I haven't taken any pharmaceuticals, yeah, any pharmaceutical drugs. And the only thing that kept me alive, I would say, because it would pacify in some bizarre way my nervous system to an extent that I could at least regenerate a bit during the night, enough to make it through the next day. And that is cannabis, medical cannabis or marijuana. So what I've been doing is to eat a little bit of it. In the last few years, I just took it raw an hour before going to bed. And look, in my mind, there is no real physical harm of doing that. Yeah. And nonetheless, what I can say, it creates a feeling of dependency. It's a lack of freedom. Also, it's a plant that is, well, it's not legalized in India, at least, right? There's still that stigma going along with it, no? So it's just weird. And to be free, to be able to just go to bed, for example, yeah, without having to do anything, Yeah, that maybe I try to paint a picture for you now to make you understand how big it is for me to not have taken anything for 1 month. This is just like, oh my God, yeah? And at the same time, there is, you know what? I don't even quite dare to look there fully, to fully acknowledge it, because, you know what? If I actually really acknowledge it and even share it, I might just jinx it. It might turn out that it's not so, yeah? And sorry for getting emotional here, but this is, for me, this is so much, much, much bigger than I could possibly put into words. And I still don't really dare going there, as I say, yeah? I've waited now 1 month to come out with this. And I would have so loved to come out, yeah? with this information, sharing it in a state where I'm glowing, so to say, where I'm in a really good state and full of positivity. And because yes, you know, having had this experience, I not only want to make a video for people ending up in similar states like mine and telling them, look, please try this before you go down that road of the psycho drugs called affectionately meds, in that world, because it's gonna buy you some time to figure out what's actually going on. I also actually would like to make a video addressing doctors to just point out to them, look, if you have somebody presenting at your office, with similar symptoms like mine, then please point out to them that there is this little plant that doesn't derail your complete nervous system further and gives you horrible side effects, like in my case, lockjaw, tinnitus, whole body vibration. In one case, such severe constipation that I thought the list goes on and on and on, to the point where you are so drugged that you look at yourself in the mirror and you hardly recognize yourself. You become so self-conscious that you don't dare looking at anyone anymore. Those are states, apart from the loss of dignity of ingesting such a substance, it is a blow to your self-esteem, to what you feel about yourself. I don't have words for that, and I don't wish for anyone to have to go through that, really. If that can be prevented. One more thing comes to mind, and that is actually just shortly before weaning me off cannabis, I had started taking a homeopathic medicine designed to detox one of the meds that I took, the one that gave me lockjaw. And look, again, I don't know what's causing what. I never know, right? There is no double-blind studies here. It's just me. This is a wandering experiment. Huh? But what I noticed between detoxing that substance and stopping marijuana, I regained dreams. I regained recollection of dreams, and that for me is such a beautiful thing. To be able to recall dreams, wow. Positive things like that, but also weird things, because I think what happened is if you change the chemistry of your body to such an extent, then weird things happen, right? So I catch myself having a lot of food craving, and in general some kind of, a lot of movement in the body. And that is really yeah, that's been a great challenge for me to navigate that. Like the nights were not good. Yeah, for the last month, the night, not that they were really good prior to that, but it's just also the rhythm changed, and then I had to adapt to that. Oftentimes I'd be awake for 2 hours at random times at night, and then somehow at some point manage to fall asleep again. I'd often sit up at 2 o'clock at night, do breath work to control nausea, and so a lot of challenge really. Yeah, so here I am today, and I dare to share this. One more big lesson I want to share in this context, and this is something I've touched upon several times already, but I want to do so one more time here. Let's see how this comes out this time. Yeah, I want to start with this. I've seen I see a pattern that we look for positive sensation. Obviously, that's no big deal. I've talked about endorphins in context with physical exercise. Yeah, intense physical activity, making you just feel good. I acknowledge that in my life I've always had intensity in some shape or form, and I think what it does on a chemical level, yeah, regarding the chemistry in the body, it just makes these feel good substances circulate in your body, and then there's a feeling of, yeah, life's good. Now, if health deteriorates to such an extent that that is no longer possible, then the system, I think, automatically will try to compensate through other means. I wasn't aware of the fact that endorphins are also released through other means. Yeah, it can be released in contact, in connection with other people, and not only sexuality. Yeah. To some extent with food. Yeah. And I recently heard somebody saying that endorphin stands for endogenous morphins, so to say, yeah, opiate-like substances. So we have these receptors internally, and it's actually, in that sense, no surprise that we have an opiate crisis, right? That people get addicted to opiates because they soothe. Yeah, they're not only painkillers, they're also, as some heroin addicts, for example, say, it feels like a warm, loving hug. I don't have personal experience with that, but putting all this together somehow, I've seen in me, if I don't have the ability, yeah, to get those substances through physical activity, then it becomes absolutely vital for me to get it otherwise. And the safest way, and I can't explain that one, but the safest way is through meditation. And that one somehow is different than all the other ones, because the food, for example, to me feels more like it's a momentary thing which then immediately wears off. There is no lasting effect. The physical exercise has a much more stabilizing, calming, and more long-lasting effect, I would say. It's a daily thing, definitely, and at best several times a day. But out of all these things that I've mentioned now, the meditation thing is completely different. And it could be other things as well. For me, it is meditation, and what it does, as best as I can describe it, is there is a point where I become aware of the connection with stillness or beingness or whatever you want to call that. And the words that come to me to describe that is an experience of okayness. Nothing else now needs to happen for me to be okay. There's a sense of peace, of aliveness, also of awe somehow. There's a sense of miracle, a sense of intimacy with life somehow. And in that state, nothing else now has to happen for me to be okay. So, and that is not dependent really on me being well. And that's so counterintuitive, I found, that could actually happen in a state where a lot of unpleasant things are happening on a physical level even. So why I'm mentioning this in this context is that for me this is the only safe haven that I've encountered. And with the experience of the last 4 weeks or 1 month, it's made it so ultra clear again for me. If I lose that connection, oh my God, then I become extremely susceptible and vulnerable. I cannot afford to do that for whatever reason. This is the point where I started this journey, now more than 100 days ago. Yeah, my main intention was to somehow get back into this connection, the aware connection. And the big challenge for me is whenever these changes happen, that my whole system changes, like in the last month. And suddenly I'm not waking up early, let's say 4, 5, 6 o'clock, or even 3 o'clock, and then I start my morning routine, but suddenly I'm awake at night for 2 hours or 3 hours, and then somehow manage to fall asleep again and wake up much, much later. And then, I'm actually in a state where it's really difficult to sit in silence because the state is so unbearable, actually. It's just a real challenge. For me, it's a big, big challenge. I don't know how other people experience that. But I've seen one more time that for me, that is what it boils down to. If I don't have that as the foundation of my very being, then I become extremely susceptible. And then it all backfires, right? Because out of that susceptibility and vulnerability, my system now will come up with behavior that is actually totally counterproductive. And then actually it spirals down also. Then everything gets affected negatively. So this is a big piece, and I don't know how useful or not this is for anyone else, but somehow I felt compelled to try to put it in words the best I can. And there was a video actually that I made, I think 9 days ago, having realized this and announcing my recommitment to the meditation and the other things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that meditation is the only way. For me, it's silent meditation that does the trick. If for somebody else, there's something else that brings them into real silence, connection with the realm of stillness. Yeah, and I don't mean that. I think stillness is a better word, because for me, in stillness, there doesn't have to be acoustic silence. It's just stillness in the sense of there's beingness. And out of that beingness, everything can happen. Yeah, so I made that video about 9 days ago, which I then took down again. I pulled it 1 day later when I realized I was crashing. I'd spent the night with tremendous fever, sweating, and then there's one more thing I want to mention here. In that night, I had a very clear sense that I shouldn't eat anything the next day, and that I should take complete rest. And I ignored both. I ate my normal 2 meals, and I spent most of the day in bed, but I didn't really rest most of the day. And well, then kind of hell broke loose. Body went into emptying it out mode, intense nausea for days on end, and then fever again, and weird things. Just one night where I felt like I was getting out of it, then a rat went over me, and at night, and then so much noise in the room with a rat going crazy, and then, in those states you feel also like, life, what are you trying to do? Like, are you trying to just destroy me? Like, is this a conspiracy against me, or what's going on? Anyways, I warned you. Ramble. Yeah. So this is what's happened, more or less. Yeah, here I am. This has been a little over 100 days with this journey. And ironically, it feels a bit like this is just the beginning. Yeah. Again, for me, it is a beginning, because I'm beginning without anything. I'm again a human being that is free, not dependent on any kind of substance. I've managed to get rid of my earplugs again. I'm able to sleep again without earplugs. And even though you see me crying, these actually, it's actually, those are tears of joy, actually. Yeah, and the lockjaw thing also has greatly reduced, which is beautiful. Very strange. You take a substance and the next thing you know, I later on looked it up, and it was one of the side effects of that particular medicine that they gave me. Yeah, as I look back over the last 8 days, there's a tremendous sense of relief as well, because my body then entered states of such severe arousal where the alarm bells were ringing very, very loud again, with the whole body vibrating. What I sense in my body when I get worn out to such extent that instead of down-regulating and going into kind of hibernation, my body switches on and starts screaming, right? It just basically starts screaming, you need to get help now. Yeah, and only because I've, well, exhausted my options, I know that there's nothing there that can help me. And if I were to now start running around trying to get help from somewhere, it would only exhaust me further. So, it feels like a new beginning. I have no idea where this journey is going. I definitely intend to keep sharing on this channel. I thank everyone who's been there, and everyone who joined later on. As I mentioned before, there's this video coming up for people who end up in a similar spot, and it's a weird thing because I'm very happy that there's not many people following this channel so far, because it greatly reduces the likelihood of anyone commenting stupid stuff. And so I'm still not sure how to deal with that video, because that's the video that I would actually want to be shared far and wide in order to potentially reach a maximum number of people, because that could literally save a life or several. Let's see. So, before I wrap up, I wanna announce one more time formally that I'm back on track. I'm now going back to 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour of evening silent meditation. This is something I've seen is it's just non-negotiable for me at this point in time. And I want to make it very clear as well that these are not hard rules, they're guidelines for me. And it's no problem missing it once, but I can't afford, the consequences are just too horrible. And out of love for myself, and all the other things that I started doing, the breath work and the qigong, and this can be added, but it cannot replace, at least for me. There we go again. Much greeting. Thanks for being here, and see you soon.